Russia is gradually exhausting the resources necessary for a protracted war, and the situation in the country is approaching a critical point. Despite the Kremlin's attempts to maintain control, the prospect of a protracted conflict is becoming increasingly remote. U.S. Army Colonel John Sweet stated this on Channel 24. He asserted that even a new wave of mobilization will not bring the Kremlin a strategic advantage, as modern technology makes army size less decisive in combat. The world emphasized that Russian society, which has lived under economic restrictions for years, is increasingly less willing to endure. We are approaching a turning point. Polls show that around 75% of the population supports negotiations to end the war. Furthermore, food and water shortages are expected, and the strikes on the oil refineries further strengthen Ukraine's position, he noted. The broadcast also recalled that the U.S. is considering transferring Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine. General Keith Kellogg explained that these missiles will enable precision strikes against strategically important military targets in Russia and will complement Ukraine's existing drones and other strike systems, reducing the Kremlin's ability to support the front with resources. The impact of the Ukrainian attacks is already noticeable. Approximately 25% of Russian oil refining capacity has been damaged over the past week. This means that approximately 1 million barrels of fuel are not reaching the front lines daily, creating shortages at gas stations, rising prices, and significantly hampering fuel deliveries to Moscow and occupied Crimea. Sweet noted that Ukraine's success depends on a combination of defensive and offensive measures. An effective air defense system, strikes on airfields and military factories, and funding restrictions for the Russian military. He added that social pressure, military casualties, and economic sanctions could force the Kremlin to reconsider its strategy and bring closer the moment of real negotiations. The colonel noted that Ukraine's continued attacks on Russia's energy and oil infrastructure only deplete the enemy's resources, but also create conditions for a turning point in the war that could determine the conflict's future course. As a reminder, Putin threatened the United States with a new level of escalation if Ukraine uses Tomahawk missiles. He claimed that Ukraine's use of Tomahawk missiles without the direct involvement of American troops was impossible.
Georgians were on Saturday electing city mayors and municipal governing bodies amid widespread political tensions. According to Associated Press, a wide spectrum of opposition supporters said they were boycotting the elections and mobilizing supporters for a mass rally later in the day. "I voted for peace, for more prosperity, for greater progress," Georgia's Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze told reporters after casting his vote in the capital Tbilisi. Kobakidze and the ruling Georgian Dream Party have been accused of steering the country into Moscow's orbit of influence and derailing its EU integration. Levon Sanakidze from the opposition United National Movement told the Associated Press on Saturday that he and his allies would not be participating in this Russian circus. "We are calling it a Russian special operation, and the purpose for those elections is somehow to legitimize Ivanishvili's illegitimate government," said Sanakidze, referring to Bidzina Ivanishvili, Georgian Dream's honorary chairman. Georgia has seen widespread political unrest and protests since its parliamentary election on October 26, which was won by Georgian Dream. Protesters and the country's opposition declared the result illegitimate amid allegations of vote rigging aided by Russia.
Ყველასთვის ცხადია რა სასწავლებსაც მივეცი ხმა, რა თქმა უნდა, ხმა მივეცი მშვიდობას, ეციკეთეს, მეტ განვითარებას ჩვენი ქვეყნისთვის, ჩვენი დედაქალაქისთვის და იმ ერთადერთ პარტიას, რომელმაც შეუნარჩუნა ჩვენს ქვეყანას მშვიდობა და მოუტანა წესრიგ და განვითარება მთელი ამ წლების განმავლობაში.
Ivanishvili is not conducting the elections. We are calling it the Russian special operation. And the purpose for those elections is to somehow legitimize the Ivanishvili's illegitimate government. This is all like a circus, and because of that, the biggest chunk of Georgia's pro-European voters and also like the biggest forces from the oppositional parties, United National Movement as well, we are not participating in this Russian circus.
As the European Union pushes to fully sever its reliance on Russian energy, Hungary's populist government stands firm. Russia is a reliable partner. And for geographical and physical reasons in Central Europe, the security of Hungary's energy supply cannot be guaranteed without Russia, Hungarian Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó said after one of his regular meetings with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in September. But some energy experts, as well as critics of Hungary's populist government, see the country's commitment to Russian energy more as politics than pipelines. Russia has attacked Ukraine. There is a joint European decision that the European Union or its member states should not finance the armament of Russia, Laszlo Miklos, a chemical engineer and energy industry analyst, said. Hungary and its leader, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, have long argued that Russian energy imports are indispensable for the country's economy, and that switching to fossil fuels sourced from elsewhere would cause an immediate economic collapse. If Hungary is cut off Russian oil and natural gas, then immediately, within a minute, the Hungarian economic performance will drop by 4%. This would be catastrophic, the Hungarian economy would be on its knees, Orbán told his country's state broadcaster in September. The Hungarian Prime Minister, who has long had the friendliest ties to the Kremlin of any EU leader, has vigorously opposed the bloc's efforts to sanction Moscow after its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. As the rest of Europe has weaned off Russian energy, Hungary has maintained and even increased its Russian imports, insisting no viable alternative exists. But Miklos told the Associated Press that there was no rational explanation for Orbán's government's reluctance to seek alternative fuel sources, and that ample infrastructure is already in place to supply Hungary with affordable, non-Russian oil and gas.